En los Estados Unidos, esperamos reacción de la consejera de Seguridad Nacional, Condoleezza Rice. Esa reacción viene en unos minuticos en vivo en Noticiero Univisión.
To say I'm disappointed is an understatement.
The bottom line here tonight is almost no one likes this plan, not even those who voted for it. Live at the Capitol, I'm Maria Alonso. This Monday morning, thank you for joining us.
You'll join us again at 12 o'clock for Channel 2 News at noon.
An earthquake in India is making headlines this morning.
And next, the latest report on victims of that terrible disaster. Traffic is just beginning this morning. Let's go to now for a traffic check.
She's there, and she's joining us now by telephone. Maria?
Yes, I'm right here, and that is exactly what has just gone, and we are standing in pitch darkness. Things are getting very intense out here. We are being buffeted by 100-mile-per-hour winds. The rain is coming down in sheets, and part of I-10, which is the major interstate connecting this part of the Texas coast to Louisiana, has collapsed. The mayor tells us he expects as much as 90 to 95% of this area has been evacuated. Those who chose not to evacuate are pretty much on their own until after this hurricane makes landfall and passes over this area. The city and the county have said very clearly that they are not going to be responding to any emergency calls until after this storm passes. We're talking about at least not until after dawn. We are expecting a storm surge of 25 feet coast either at or below sea level. Flooding is a major concern. In effect, we will see the high tide move inland by miles. Reporting live from the Texas-Louisiana border as this Category 3 hurricane slams into the Texas coast, I'm Maria Valdes.
Thank you, Ron. Talking to a 25-year veteran of California wildfires a few minutes ago, and he tells... Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Valdes. Bob is off today, and Dan is working on the evening newscasts. This is Channel 2 News Today for Wednesday, September 29th. Also this morning, an update and the Channel 2 lawyer has advice for selecting a family doctor. First, Dave Dixon is out on the back porch. Dave, the weather for today.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone.
If you live in East Harris County, no doubt you felt it, the explosion and fire that rocked the Crown Central Petroleum Company in Pasadena Tuesday. It injured 4 people, that explosion did. Channel 2's Jack Cato was there.
It was just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. Channel 2 News.
Houston police have arrested a high school dropout for the murder of a Pizza Hut delivery man. Police have charged 17-year-old Lamont Wilson with capital murder. Homicide, by the way, caught up with this suspect at Ben Taub Hospital, where he was being treated for a gunshot wound. Lamont Wilson is being held without bond this morning. Dave is next with the middle of the week forecast for you. Then Dominique will tell you how traffic is moving along on the freeways. And the Astros try to make things difficult for the Braves. Weather, sports, and traffic coming up next. Okay, Dave, a harvest moon at that for that full moon. So nice and romantic for us. The Astros beat the Braves in Atlanta last night, and they did it in home run fashion. Coming up next, Dave will be back with our regional travel forecast. And later in our newscast, Fort Bend County residents protest a landfill proposed for their area. At 6:28, a 25-minute drive. I like that. An explosion in Pasadena this morning, making headlines. The latest on 4 employees injured in that blast coming up. Join us, won't you, for all of the latest news on Channel 2 News at noon, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock tonight. Before you head out this morning, we'll take another look at traffic. Thank you, Dave. That's our news for this Wednesday morning. Thank you for joining us. The Today Show is next on Houston's 24-hour news channel. They'll have an update on the standoff in Moscow. All that coming up next. We'll see you at 7:25. Yes, good morning. 110 children, women, and men remain holed up inside that cult compound, including the cult's leader, who told negotiators that the reason he and his followers have not yet surrendered is because he's received a message from God instructing him to wait. No waiting on day 4. We had a military helicopter. Shift change once again, bringing with it day 5 in the standoff between federal agents and fanatic cult members. Everyone's preparing for a long stay. Day 4 saw a military helicopter hover over the compound, armed personnel carriers adjusting their positions and tightening their noose around the perimeters, and for the first time in 3 days, top officials breaking their silence on what's going on inside the fortress and inside the mind of the cult leader.
He says that he did not fulfill his promise to leave immediately with his followers because God told him to wait.
Federal agents also began to share details behind last weekend's raid, the most revealing of which was the news that the ATF had infiltrated the cult in a 9-month investigation prior to Sunday's bloodbath.
They had someone on the inside. They weren't talking to him.
The commander says the ATF grossly underestimated the size and force of the group, armed even with automatic weapons capable of shooting down airplanes.
I think also the ATF felt that if they put on their jackets that said ATF on the back of them, that the adversary would roll over when they got inside the compound. As we know, that was not the case.
During the course of the standoff, 18 children have been allowed to leave the fortified complex. Still inside are 20 more children, 47 women, and 43 men. But that's not all.
There are some bodies in the compound. The precise number, we do not know.
Daybreak here on the horizon, and once again a very eerie silence, a very eerie stillness has swept over this entire ordeal. So where are we at with all this? We're back at square one, watching and waiting. Overnight activity at the cult compound seemed non-existent. If there was any kind of movement, it wasn't for us to see. Our night scope lens picked up only brief flashes of light coming from the compound. A sharp contrast to what took place the night before, when without warning, government vehicles of all types began retreating en masse, some carrying what clearly were civilians being taken from the cult compound. 6 hours earlier, the leader of the cult promised surrender in return for a radio broadcast of a pre-taped hour-long sermon. The tape was played, but surrender never came. Instead, we had the nonstop movement from the cult compound to the FBI's command post and debriefing center at a nearby college campus. The stepped-up activity fueled hopes that the 3-day standoff was finally coming to an end. Early in the day, at least 6, possibly 8 children were released from the cult compound, and it is from some of those children where we first discovered that the death toll from Sunday's initial bloodbath was higher than first believed. To a 25-year veteran of California wildfires a few minutes ago, and he tells us he has never seen conditions like these. He says it's like gasoline burning up there in these mountains. As it stands just above this tree line, one wildfire is already burning at such an intensity not usually seen until late August or September, and it's barely May. Evacuations are underway.
The fires were set in air.
Off today, and Dan is working on the evening newscasts. This is Channel 2 News Today for Wednesday, September 29th. Also this morning, an update from the standoff in Russia, and the Channel 2 lawyer has advice for selecting a family doctor. First, Dave Dixon is out on the back porch. Dave, the weather for today.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone.
If you live in East Harris County, no doubt you felt it, the explosion and fire that rocked the Crown Central Petroleum Company in Pasadena Tuesday. It injured 4 people, that explosion did. Channel 2's Jack Cato was there.
It was just after 2 o'clock this afternoon.
East Harris County, no doubt you felt it yesterday, the explosion and fire that rocked the Crown Central Petroleum Company in Pasadena. 4 people were injured. Channel 2's Jack Cato has the story. Sports this morning. The Astros beat the Braves in Atlanta last night, and they did it in home run fashion. 24-hour news channel. They'll have an update on the standoff in Moscow. That coming up next. We'll see you at 7:25. If it's true it takes darkness to appreciate the light, then it's only fitting that the sun shines brightly on Camp Star trails.
Oh, here's a big old fat worm. You ready? Now hold it right down here.
These are the faces among those pines that kiss the sky. Faces of children wise beyond their years. Not because they choose to be, but because life deemed it so. Most of these children have cancer, and chemotherapy is all they know. But for this week, that all changes. They enjoy a ritual of childhood, summer camp.
We do activities, we have a good time.
Yeah.
We go swimming. I like arts and crafts.
What about all the horseback riding and canoeing and things like that?
Oh yeah, that's fun. I really like canoeing.
This camp is part of an ongoing program emphasizing as normal a childhood as possible for children who've gone through too much at too young an age. This boy's only 5 years old. He deserves a break, and here he and other children get it.
Sometimes you might find something like
Two of the big favorites at any camp are nature study and fishing. Things are no different here. It's all part of a week these youngsters look forward to all year long.
We get all excited and everything because, you know, you'll be away from the hospital and there's no needles and all that.
These children return to the cancer clinic this weekend, but in those eyes you see hope. Hope that one day all the hurt will go away. Until then, they walk the same road, one step at a time, one day at a time, singing songs to lift themselves up when dreams leave them empty-handed. Maria Valdes, Channel